One of the most difficult formulas to both write and to debug is the nested if statement. It starts with an if, then a condition, then an if, then a condition, then an if, and so on and so forth. There are ways to get around this, and we're going to look at two different techniques, including one that uses XLOOKUP to reduce your reliance on nested if statements. Are you ready? Let's go!
So, in this video, we have a list of 25 students. Each student has a grade, which is from 0 to 100. What we're aiming to do is determine what their letter grade is. If their score is under 60, then they get an F. If their score is between 60 and 70, they get a D. If their score is between 70 and 80, they get a C, and so forth. One way to solve this, which is common amongst newer users, is the nested if statement. So we click on the score row in the grades table. So we end up with grades and in square brackets at score. And we'll say less than 60. If it's less than 60, then an F is entered. Then we add a comma and another if statement. In this case, it's if the grade is less than 70. If it's less than 70, then a D is entered. If the score is less than 60, we never get to this point. Since it will have already picked a F, we put in the same formula for a C if the grade is less than 80. For the final condition, if the grade is less than a 90, then a B is entered. Instead of entering a final condition, we just say that if it's anything else, it's an A. Finally, we close out all four formulas. If there are a lot of conditions, this can become a lot of brackets. And we end up with a B for Alex Johnson's 87 score. We'll copy that formula down for everyone. So, the next formula that we'll use is the IFS formula. It works very similar to nested IFS in this particular case, except we start with IFS. We start the formula by clicking on the score row in the grades table, so we end up with grades and in square brackets at score. And it's less than 60. Then we enter F in quotations. The first difference between IFS and nested if statements is that we can just add another condition after the formula. So we just say grades at score is less than 70 and D in quotations. We'll repeat this formula for the C grade less than 80 and the B grade less than 90. The other difference with the IFS formula is that there's no default. So we'll need to add an over 90 condition for the A grade. Once we're done, we'll copy the results down, and we get the same results that we had with the nested if. Now, we're going to take a completely different approach. Instead of using an if statement, we're going to use XLOOKUP instead. We start with XLOOKUP, and we'll perform that XLOOKUP on the entire column, grades table, score in square brackets. And here comes the interesting part. For our lookup array, we'll enter in squiggly brackets the numbers 0, 60, 70, 80, and 90. And for our return array, we enter in squiggly brackets F, D, C, B, and A. There is no not found option, so we enter nothing between the next two brackets. Finally, we'll enter the exact match or next smaller option, since we won't always have an exact multiple of 10. When we finish this formula, not only do we have the same results as the if statements, but we also don't have to copy the formula down. Now, not having to copy the formula down is something that can be accomplished in the nested if and IFS formulas. If we remove the AT symbol from the nested if, it will refer to the entire column instead of each row. As a result, we end up with all the results coming from one formula that doesn't have to be copied down. We can accomplish the same thing with the IFS formula, removing the @ symbols to get the full table. All three methods achieve the same results, though the XLOOKUP method is much simpler to write and is more flexible for adding new results if required in the future. I hope that you were able to learn something about different methods to come up with the same results, as nested if statements, like the ifs formula and inline XLOOKUP formulas. If you found this video helpful, please throw it a like. And if there are any other topics you'd like to go over, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.